Kang Taeho stepped off the transport ship and felt the floor under his boots. The metal was cold and smooth. Around him, the station stretched in white corridors that curved up and away. Lights hummed overhead. The air tasted filtered and thin. He walked forward, carrying his small pack. The gravity felt wrong. Too light. Like walking on the moon, except this was supposed to be a normal station. Every step wanted to send him floating upward. He adjusted his stride and kept moving. Other beings moved through the corridor. Most were short with careful steps. Some had extra arms. Others had scales or fur or skin that changed colors. They all stared at him as he passed. He nodded politely. They looked away quickly. At the cargo bay entrance, 3 aliens struggled with a container. It was maybe a meter tall, made of dark metal. They pushed and pulled, their faces showing strain. Taeho stopped. Need help? He asked. The 3 aliens froze. They had large eyes and damp skin that reminded him of frogs. One of them made a clicking sound in its throat. The container is very heavy, it said through a translation device on its chest. We are managing. Taeho reached down and lifted the container with both hands. It weighed maybe 20 kilograms. Light enough. He moved it to where they were pointing, set it down gently and smiled. There you go, he said. The 3 aliens stared at him with wide eyes. Then they scattered, moving away quickly. Taeho watched them go, confused. Maybe he had broken some kind of protocol. First day jitters, probably. He found his way to the briefing room. Dr. Yoon Ji-woo was waiting there, her face calm and professional. She wore the blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. When she saw him, she allowed herself a small smile. Taeho, she said. How was the trip? Long, he replied. But interesting. I've never seen a neutron star up close before. Did you scare anyone on the way here? I helped some technicians move a box. They seemed upset about it, Ji-woo sighed. That box probably weighed half what they do. To them, you just picked up an impossible weight like it was nothing. It was only 20 kilos. Yes, 20 kilos. She gestured to the seats. Sit. Let me explain what you're walking into. They sat across from each other. Ji-woo pulled up holographic displays showing statistics and charts. Taeho recognized the layout. It was a briefing on the Crucible of Ascension, the test he had volunteered for. The Galactic Coalition uses this test to evaluate new species, Ji-woo said. It's supposed to measure worthiness for citizenship. 12 zones, each one harder than the last. Most species send their best warriors or their smartest scientists. And Earth sent an engineer, Taeho said. Earth sent someone who knows how to solve problems under pressure. She changed the display. The survival rates are low. 23% make it past Zone 4, 3% reach Zone 8. Only a handful have ever completed the entire trial. Taeho studied the numbers. What's the record time? For completion? 47 days, and for Zone 1, 6 hours. It's a desert environment. High heat, no water, difficult terrain. She watched his face. You're not worried. Should I be? Most people are terrified by this point. Taeho shrugged. I trained in worse. Remember that month in Death Valley? This sounds similar. Ji-woo closed the displays. Just remember, they don't understand humans yet. They don't know about Earth. Be careful what you say. The formal briefing happened an hour later. Taeho entered a large chamber filled with various aliens. Some sat in chairs. Others floated in bubbles of liquid. A few hung from the ceiling. At the center stood a tall insectoid creature with 4 arms and a head that looked like polished black stone. I am Proctor Velmresh, the insectoid said. Its voice clicked and buzzed. I oversee the Crucible. You are the human candidate? Kang Taeho, he confirmed. Your species is new to the Coalition. Your planet was recently surveyed. The reports were confusing. Velmresh tapped something on a console. You come from a world called Earth. Temperature range -40 to +50 degrees. Atmospheric pressure 1.2 standard. Gravity 1.3 standard. High oxygen content. Significant tectonic activity. Diverse microbial life. That sounds right, Taeho said. These conditions are extreme. Our surveyors required protective equipment. Yet your species lives there naturally. It's home, Taeho said simply. Velmresh made a sound that might have been confusion. The Crucible will test your limits. Physical endurance, mental stability, problem-solving under extreme conditions. Do you understand the risks? I do. Many participants do not survive. If you feel you are not prepared, you may withdraw without shame. I'm prepared, Taeho said. Can I ask some questions about the environmental controls? Velmresh tilted its head. Questions? The atmospheric composition in each zone. Temperature regulation. Are the conditions stable or variable? I'd like to know what systems I'll be working with. A murmur went through the assembled aliens. Velmaresh's mandibles twitched. You ask about technical specifications? Before a survival trial? I'm an engineer, Taiho explained. I like to understand the systems I'm working with, even if the system is trying to kill me. The murmuring grew louder. Taiho caught Jiwoo's eye from where she stood in the observation area. She looked like she was trying not to laugh. Velmaresh provided the technical data, though it seemed confused about why anyone would want it. Taiho listened carefully, making mental notes. The zones were challenging, certainly, but nothing he hadn't trained for. Nothing Earth hadn't already taught him to handle. After the briefing, he met the other participants. There were 5 of them. A large reptilian warrior named Nerix who had trained for 3 years. A floating crystalline being called Krell who spoke slowly and carefully. Others whose names he struggled to pronounce. They talked about their preparations. Nerix described combat training and meditation. Krell mentioned studying ancient texts about survival. A small furry creature showed its collection of blessed tokens and ritual supplies. What did you bring? Nerix asked Taiho. Taiho held up his small pack. Multi-tool. Water purification tablets. Some protein bars. Emergency thermal blanket. Basic medical kit. The others stared at him, that's all? The furry creature asked. Should I have brought more? Nerix made a rumbling sound. You are either very confident or very foolish. Maybe both, Taiho admitted. We'll find out. The next morning they gathered at the entrance to the crucible. The facility was old, built into a rogue moon that drifted through dark space. The entrance was a massive door that opened slowly, revealing a corridor that led down into artificial environments. Velmaresh stood before them, reading from prepared statements about honor and courage and the importance of the trial. Taiho listened politely, but his mind was already on the first zone. Desert environment, 45 degrees Celsius, minimal water, 6 hours to cross. It sounded like a warm summer day in Death Valley. He'd run a marathon in worse heat. This would be fine. The door opened. Heat rolled out, dry and immediate. The other participants hesitated, preparing themselves mentally for the ordeal ahead. Taiho adjusted his pack and checked his water supply. Velmaresh's voice echoed through the chamber. Zone 1 awaits. The desert shows no mercy. Many have fallen in its sands. May fortune favor the worthy. Taiho raised his hand. Quick question. Is this the warm-up zone? Or is it rated as a full challenge? Silence fell. Every eye turned to him. Velmaresh's mandibles opened and closed several times. What? Just wondering, Taiho said. Because 45 degrees, that's pretty moderate. I wanted to know if it gets harder after this or if this is the baseline difficulty. Velmaresh stared at him. The other participants stared at him. In the observation room, Jiwoo put her face in her hands. This, Velmaresh said slowly, is Zone 1 of the Crucible of Ascension. It has defeated thousands of candidates. It is not a warm-up. Got it, Taiho said. Thanks for clarifying. He walked into the heat. Behind him he heard confused chittering and clicking. He didn't look back. The desert stretched ahead, red sand under artificial sun. The temperature was warm against his skin. Comfortable, really. He'd been colder in winter. He'd been hotter in summer. This was just another day. Just another environment to understand and work with. He checked his compass, calculated the crossing angle, and started walking at a steady pace. Somewhere behind him in the observation room, aliens were starting to realize that something about the human didn't make sense. They just didn't know what yet. Taiho found shade under a rock formation after 20 minutes of walking. The sun beat down hard, but he had felt worse. He pulled out his multi-tool and a piece of clear plastic from his emergency kit. The solar still took 15 minutes to set up. He dug a small hole in the sand, placed a container at the bottom, and stretched the plastic over the top. A rock in the center made the plastic dip down. Condensation would collect and drip into the container. Basic physics. Basic survival. In the observation room, Velmaresh stared at the screens. What is the human doing? Another observer asked. Creating a water collection device, Dr. Thessig said. The amphibious scientist leaned closer to the screen. A solar still. Primitive but effective. In 20 minutes, Velmaresh's mandibles clicked rapidly. Most participants spend the first hour just acclimating to the heat. He appears comfortable, Thesic noted. His vital signs show mild stress but nothing concerning. Heart rate is elevated but stable. On screen, Taiho checked his compass and started walking again. He moved at a steady pace, not fast but constant. He breathed through his nose to conserve moisture. His steps were efficient, using the minimum energy needed. 3 hours later, he reached the end of Zone 1. The exit door opened. He walked through without ceremony. Velmresh checked the timer 3 times. 3.5 hours. That's impossible. The record was 6 hours. Perhaps the monitoring systems malfunctioned, another observer suggested. Run full diagnostics, Velmresh ordered. There must be an error. Zone 2 opened automatically. Cold air rushed out. Taiho felt the temperature drop and smiled slightly. He pulled out his emergency thermal blanket and wrapped it around his shoulders like a cape. Not perfect insulation, but it would help. The Arctic zone stretched before him. Snow covered the ground. Wind howled across the frozen landscape. The temperature read -40 degrees. Ice crystals formed in the air. Taiho remembered winter training in Gangwon province. They had practiced in -20 degrees with worse wind. This was cold, yes, but manageable. He just needed to keep moving and stay smart about it. He found ice lichen growing on rocks. Edible, probably. He tested a small piece, waited 5 minutes, then ate more. Calories were important in cold environments. The body burned fuel to stay warm. He built a simple wind barrier using snow blocks, rested for 10 minutes, then continued. The cold bit at his exposed skin, but he had experienced worse. He kept his breathing steady and his movements controlled. In the observation room, Thesic was taking rapid notes. The human is consuming native vegetation, the scientist reported. He tested it first, then ate more. How did he know it was safe? Lucky guess? Another observer suggested. No, Thesic said slowly. Look at his behavior. Small test dose, waiting period, then consumption. This is systematic risk assessment. He's done this before. Velmresh pulled up Earth's initial survey data. Temperature ranges. Atmospheric composition. Geological activity. The numbers had seemed extreme when the survey team reported them. Now, watching the human move through Arctic conditions like a casual walk, those numbers took on new meaning. Run a classification analysis on the human homeworld, Velmresh ordered. Full spectrum. Taiho completed Zone 2 in 4 hours. As he stepped through the exit, Jiwoo's voice came through his helmet radio. How are you feeling? She asked. Cold, he admitted. But okay. The wind here isn't as bad as that time in Gangwon. Remember that winter storm? I remember pulling you and your team out of that mess, Jiwoo replied. You all had mild hypothermia, but we survived. That was worse than this. There was a pause. Taiho, they're panicking up here. You just broke 2 records. They think something is wrong with the equipment. The equipment is fine. The zones are just not as hard as everyone thinks. Not as hard for you, maybe. Jiwoo's voice was quiet. I'm watching the other participants. 1 quit in Zone 1, 2 more are struggling in Zone 2. You're not normal, Taiho, not by their standards. Should I slow down? No. Just be aware that you're changing everything. They're starting to realize that Earth might not be what they thought. Zone 3 opened. Humid air rolled out, thick and green-tinged. The toxic jungle. Taiho checked his breathing mask and stepped inside. The vegetation was dense and bioluminescent. Strange plants glowed in blues and purples. The air smelled wrong, acidic and sharp. Rain fell constantly, hissing where it hit metal surfaces. Taiho tested the rain with a piece of litmus paper from his kit. Acidic as expected. He couldn't drink it directly, but he could neutralize it. He crushed some limestone rocks he found and filtered the rain through them. Basic chemistry. The pH balanced out. Something moved in the jungle. Large, with multiple legs. A predator, probably. Taiho stayed still and quiet. Predators hunted movement and sound. He had learned that tracking wildlife in national parks. The creature passed within 10 meters. It was all teeth and claws and segmented armor. Dangerous, certainly, but its movements were straightforward. Simple ambush tactics, not as sophisticated as a bear or a big cat from Earth. He waited until it was gone, then continued. The jungle was hostile but predictable. Everything here was designed to kill, but it was obvious about it. Bright colors meant poison. Sharp teeth meant predator. On Earth, the dangerous things often looked harmless. In the observation room, Guardian Nerix watched the screens. The Drathan warrior had trained for this trial for 3 years. He had studied combat and survival. He had prepared his mind and body. And this human, this engineer with a small pack and basic tools was making it look easy. How is he doing that? Narix asked. Thesic looked up from the data analysis. That's what I'm trying to understand. The human shows elevated stress markers, but nothing critical. His body is compensating for every environmental challenge. It's like he was designed for this. Designed? Velmresh turned. What do you mean? The classification analysis just completed. Thesic pulled up the results. The numbers appeared on the main screen. Everyone in the observation room went silent. Class 12 Death World, Thesic read. Earth scores at the extreme end of habitable planet classification. High gravity, intense stellar radiation, extreme temperature variance, aggressive microbial life, frequent geological instability. That can't be right, someone said. The humans sent us peaceful communications. They have art and music and literature. They're not warriors. They don't need to be warriors, Thesic said quietly. They survived their own planet. Everything after that is easier. On screen, Taiho completed Zone 3. He emerged from the toxic jungle, checked himself for injuries, and moved toward Zone 4 without stopping. Zone 4 was underwater, a deep ocean environment with high pressure. Most species needed mechanical assistance. Taiho stood at the edge of the water, looking down into the darkness. He took several deep breaths, hyperventilating to load oxygen into his blood. Then he dove. The pressure increased as he descended. His ears popped. He equalized carefully, techniques learned from scuba training. The cave system stretched before him, dark and narrow. His body adapted. Heart rate slowed. Blood flow redirected to vital organs. The mammalian dive reflex, ancient and automatic. His ancestors had hunted in tidal pools and shallow seas. The genetic memory remained. He swam through the caves, finding air pockets where he could. The pressure was significant but manageable. About what he'd experienced recreational diving off the coast of Jeju Island. Uncomfortable, yes. Impossible, no. In the observation room, the medical monitors showed something that made Jiwoo lean forward. His heart rate dropped by half, she reported. Blood oxygen is stable. He's free diving in high-pressure water like it's normal. Do all humans have this capability? Velmresh asked. Yes, Jiwoo said. It's called the mammalian dive reflex. Our bodies do it automatically when submerged. We evolved partly in water. Some humans can hold their breath for over 10 minutes. 10 minutes? With training, yes. Taiho can probably manage 6 or 7 minutes comfortably. For entertainment? Narix asked slowly. Your species does this for fun? Scuba diving is a popular recreational activity, Jiwoo confirmed. Some people free dive even deeper without equipment. It's considered a sport. The room was very quiet. Taiho emerged from Zone 4. Water streamed off him. He coughed a few times, caught his breath, and checked his equipment. Everything was still working. 4 zones completed. The first day wasn't even over yet. He felt tired, certainly. His body ached. But he was functional. He could continue. In the observation room, Velmresh stared at the screens. This was supposed to take weeks. Most participants needed days just to recover between zones, but the human was still going. Should we stop him? Someone asked. On what grounds? Thesic replied. He's following all protocols. He's within acceptable stress parameters. He's just faster than we expected. Much faster, Velmresh said quietly. The proctor looked at the Earth classification data again. Class 12 Death World, high gravity, extreme conditions, aggressive life. The Crucible was designed to test species from across the galaxy. It was supposed to find their limits, their breaking points. But what do you do when someone arrives who was already broken and rebuilt by their own planet? What do you do when their normal is everyone else's extreme? Velmresh didn't know. No one knew. This had never happened before. On screen, Taiho drank some water and headed toward Zone 5, the volcanic zone, the one that had killed more participants than any other. He walked toward it like he was going to work. Just another day, just another problem to solve, and maybe, for someone from Earth, it was. The heat hit Taiho like a physical force. Zone 5 was volcanic wasteland. Rivers of lava cut through black rock. Toxic gases rose in yellow clouds. The temperature exceeded 200 degrees Celsius in some areas. He wrapped his face with wet cloth and breathed shallowly through it. Not perfect filtration, but it helped with the gases. He plotted a route across cooler rock away from the lava flows. Heat management was key. Don't stay in hot zones longer than necessary. His boots started to soften from the heat. He moved faster, jumping from rock to rock using momentum to minimize contact time. The technique was familiar. He'd trained near volcanic sites in Iceland. Different scale, same principles. In the observation room, alarms were sounding. His core temperature is rising, Jiwoo reported, watching the medical readouts, but slowly. His cooling systems are working overtime. Cooling systems? Filmresh asked. Sweating, Jiwoo explained. Humans have millions of sweat glands. We can cool ourselves very efficiently. It's one reason we can run long distances. We don't overheat like most predators. He's running in 200-degree heat, someone said. That should be impossible. It's extremely difficult, Jiwoo corrected. But humans evolved to hunt in African heat. We're built for temperature extremes. On screen, Taeho reached a communication point. He activated his helmet radio. Quick question, he said, slightly breathless. How many active volcanoes does the average habitable planet have? Velmaresh checked the database. Stable worlds typically have between 0 and 10 active volcanic sites. Why? Just curious, Taeho said. Earth has about 1,500 active volcanoes. I was wondering if that was normal. The observation room went silent. 1,500, Thesic repeated. Give or take, Taeho confirmed. We build cities near some of them. Good soil for farming. Anyway, I'll keep moving, he signed off. The observers stared at each other. They live near volcanoes, Narek said slowly. By choice. This explains the heat tolerance, Thesic said. If their planet is geologically unstable, they would have adapted to extreme temperature fluctuations. Commander Park Hyon's face appeared on a secure channel. The military attaché from Earth looked tired. Dr. Yoon, he said, we have a situation. The galactic media is broadcasting Taeho's progress. Reactions are mixed. Mixed how? Jiwoo asked. Some species are fascinated. Others are calling for humanity to be quarantined. They're afraid of us. Afraid of what? We're peaceful. We're peaceful species from a violent world, Park said. That makes them nervous. What else can we do that they can't? Jiwoo looked at the screen showing Taeho crossing a volcanic hellscape like it was a hiking trail. I'm starting to see their point. Taeho completed Zone 5 in 6 hours. He emerged with minor burns and smoke damage to his lungs, but nothing critical. He coughed, drank water, and kept going. Zone 6 opened. No air, no gravity. Just a massive chamber full of floating debris and navigation challenges. Taeho sealed his helmet and checked his oxygen supply. 6 hours of air. He pushed off from the entrance and floated into the void. The zero gravity was disorienting at first. Most species panicked in weightlessness. Their sense of up and down broke completely. But Taeho had studied orbital mechanics. He understood that in space there was no down, just velocity and vectors. He used the debris as anchor points. Push here, drift there, grab something to change direction. It was like a three-dimensional puzzle. Complex but logical. His body adapted to weightlessness better than expected. Some nausea, yes, but manageable. Humans had been launching themselves into space for centuries. First in primitive capsules, then in stations, then to their moon. Zero gravity was uncomfortable but not unknown. Nerix watched from the observation deck. The warrior had never felt more useless. All his combat training meant nothing here. The human was using physics and engineering, not strength or fighting skill. How does he know which way to go? Nerix asked. He's calculating trajectories, Thesic said, studying the movement patterns. Look, every push is precise. He's minimizing wasted motion. This is trained behavior. Your species trains for zero gravity? Filmresh asked Jiwoo. Our astronauts do, Jiwoo confirmed. We've had people living in space stations for over a century. Not many people, but enough to develop training programs. You send your people into the void, Velmaresh said quietly. Before you had proper gravity control. Before you had shields or safety systems. We wanted to see what was out there, Jiwoo said simply. Some people died. We learned from the failures and tried again. Witness Krell had been silent until now. The crystalline being spoke slowly, its voice like wind through caves. I begin to understand, Krell said. Most species developed intelligence to understand their world. Humans developed intelligence to survive their world. It changes everything. What do you mean? Thesic asked. My people evolved on a gentle world, Krell said. Stable temperature. Calm weather. Abundant resources. We had time to think, to philosophize, to build civilization slowly. Most coalition species share similar origins. The ancient being gestured at the screen showing Taeho. But humans, Their world tried to kill them constantly. Volcanoes, earthquakes, storms, predators, disease. They didn't have time for slow philosophy. They needed to survive first. Their intelligence is practical, immediate, focused on the next problem. You're saying we're less evolved? Jiwoo asked carefully. No, Krell said. Differently evolved. Your species turned survival into an art form. You are persistence made flesh. Taeho completed Zone 6. He pulled himself through the exit and collapsed for a moment in normal gravity. His inner ear was confused. Everything spun. He closed his eyes, focused on his breathing, and waited for his body to readjust. 5 minutes later, he stood up. Zone 7 was next. High gravity, 3 times standard. He stepped through the door and felt the weight crash down on him. His knees buckled slightly, then locked. 3 gravities. Every movement took 3 times the effort. Every breath felt like lifting weights. But Earth's gravity was already 1.3 standard. His bones were denser. His muscles were stronger. His heart was more powerful. Not because he was special, because Earth made him that way. He moved slowly but steadily, 1 step at a time. The technique was similar to high G training for fighter pilots. Stay conscious. Keep blood flowing to the brain. Don't fight the gravity. Work with it. His vision narrowed. His heart pounded. But he kept moving. Persistence, that's what humans did. They persisted. In the observation room, medical alarms screamed. Jiwoo silenced them. She knew Taiho's limits. This was pushing him, certainly. But not breaking him. His organs should be failing, an alien medical officer said. The pressure on his cardiovascular system is extreme. Human hearts are powerful, Jiwoo said. We evolved to pump blood upward against gravity. Our circulation system is built for high pressure. Even at 3 gravities? He's struggling, Jiwoo admitted. But yes, even at 3 gravities. Velmresh pulled up the Earth data again. Gravity 1.3 standard, atmospheric pressure 1.2 standard, high oxygen content to support larger organisms. Their entire civilization developed while carrying extra weight, the proctor said. Every building they constructed, every tool they made, every step they took, all of it under heavier gravity than most of us experience. They didn't know it was heavy, Thesic said. To them it's normal. They have no reference for easier gravity. Taeho reached the end of Zone 7. He crawled the last few meters, then pulled himself through the exit. Normal gravity returned. He lay on the floor, gasping. Status check. Jiwoo's voice came through his helmet. Alive, Taeho managed. That one was hard. You need to rest. How many zones left? 5. But Taeho, no one has ever reached Zone 8 in less than a week. You've been going for 1 day. Then I'm ahead of schedule. He sat up slowly. His body ached everywhere, but nothing was broken. Nothing was critical. What's Zone 8? Radiation storm. Ionizing radiation at lethal levels, Taeho thought about that. How lethal? Fatal to most species within hours. Even with shielding, but humans? There was a pause. Your cellular repair mechanisms are more robust than most species. You might survive with acceptable tissue damage, but it will hurt. Everything hurts already, Taeho said. He stood up, wincing. Might as well keep going. Taeho, you can rest. Take a day. No one expects you to do this in 1 attempt. If I stop, I might not start again, he said honestly. My body is tired. But it's still working. I should use that while I can. He approached Zone 8. The door opened, revealing a chamber that glowed with dangerous light. In the observation room, Park Hyon contacted them again. The entire galaxy is watching now, he said. Every news network, every government. They're all asking the same question. What question? Jiwoo asked. What else can humans do? If one engineer can do this, what can humanity do as a species? Park looked worried. We're changing the political landscape just by existing. On screen, Taeho constructed a radiation shield from available materials. It wouldn't block everything, but it would help. He worked methodically, using his engineering knowledge to maximize protection. Krell spoke again, that ancient voice carrying weight. They asked the wrong question. The question is not what humans can do. The question is what they've already done. What do you mean? Velmresh asked. They survived Earth, Krell said simply. Everything else is easier. Taeho stepped into the radiation storm. The light burned even through closed eyelids. His cells screamed as radiation tore through them. But his DNA repair systems kicked in immediately. working overtime to fix the damage. He moved quickly through the zone. Minimizing exposure time was the only real defense. Behind his shield, through the pain, he kept walking because that's what humans did. They walked through impossible things until those things became possible, one painful step at a time. Tejo emerged from Zone 8 with radiation burns across his skin. His body felt wrong, like his cells were vibrating at the wrong frequency. He sat down hard and closed his eyes. Jiwoo's voice was tight with concern. Medical scan shows significant cellular damage. You need treatment. How significant? You absorbed enough radiation to kill most species 3 times over, but your repair systems are working. Given time, you'll heal. How much time? A few days, maybe a week. Tejo opened his eyes and looked at the door to Zone 9. What's next? Zone 9 is biological warfare, Jiwoo said. Engineered pathogens, Tejo, even for you this is dangerous. Your immune system is already stressed from the radiation. Can I survive it? Probably, but you'll get sick, very sick. I've been sick before. He stood up slowly, his legs shook. Let's see what Earth's training is worth. In the observation room, Velmresh had stopped trying to understand. The proctor simply watched, mandibles clicking rapidly in distress. Zone 9 was designed to be impassable, Velmresh said. The pathogens attack multiple biological systems simultaneously. No species has ever completed it without significant casualties. Tell me about Earth's diseases, Thesic said to Jiwoo. Jiwoo pulled up medical data. Where do I start? We have thousands of pathogens, viruses, bacteria, fungi, parasites. Our immune systems fight constant battles. Constant? Every day. Every breath. We're exposed to potential infections constantly. Most people get sick several times per year. Some diseases kill millions. Others we've learned to control through medicine. Your planet is trying to kill you from the inside, Thesic said quietly. Yes, Jiwoo confirmed. But our immune systems are incredibly robust because of it. We coexist with trillions of microorganisms. Our bodies are ecosystems. Tejo entered Zone 9. The air shimmered with microscopic threats. He felt them immediately. Fever spiked through his body. His throat tightened. Nausea rolled through his stomach. His immune system recognized invasion and responded with overwhelming force. White blood cells flooded his system. Antibodies formed rapidly. His body temperature rose to kill the invaders. It hurt. Everything hurt. But pain was just information. His body was working, fighting. That's what it was designed to do. He kept walking. One step, another. His vision blurred. He stumbled but caught himself. The exit was ahead. Just had to reach it. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time felt strange. His fever peaked at 40 degrees Celsius. High but not deadly. His body had experienced fevers before. This was worse, certainly, but within survivable range. He reached the exit and collapsed. Medical teams rushed in, but Jiwoo stopped them. Give him a moment, she said. His immune system is winning. I can see it in the biomarkers. Tejo's fever broke. He coughed violently, expelling contaminated fluid from his lungs. His body was clearing the infection. Not perfectly, not completely, but enough. Water, he croaked. Someone brought water. He drank slowly, letting his stomach settle. Around him, aliens stared with something between horror and awe. 9 zones, Narek said from the observation deck. The warrior's voice carried disbelief. In less than 2 days, this is not possible. It's happening, Krell replied. Possible or not, we are witnessing it. The galactic news networks were in chaos. Every channel showed Tejo's progress. Analysts tried to explain. Political leaders made statements. Some species wanted immediate contact with Earth. Others wanted humanity quarantined indefinitely. A Vorlan ambassador addressed the Coalition Council. This changes everything. If one human can do this, what can their military do? What can their scientists achieve? We may have invited predators into the galaxy, a Borantine delegate countered. Or we have found the strongest allies possible. Humanity survived a Class 12 death world. They understand survival. That makes them valuable, not dangerous. The debate raged. Meanwhile, Taiho rested for an hour, then stood up. Zone 10, he asked. Psychological warfare, Jiwoo said. Sensory deprivation, hallucination induction, mental stress designed to break sanity. How long does it usually take? Most participants don't complete it. They withdraw or experience psychological breaks. Taiho considered that. I've done isolation training, sensory deprivation tanks. This is similar? Much worse. But yes, similar principles. He nodded and entered Zone 10. Darkness swallowed him immediately. Complete absence of light. Complete absence of sound. He floated in nothing. His mind tried to fill the emptiness with phantoms, voices that weren't there. Visions in the dark. He recognized them as hallucinations and dismissed them. Just brain static. Just neurons firing randomly. He focused on his breathing. In, out. Count the breaths. His heart beat steadily. He could feel it. That was real. Everything else was questionable. Time lost meaning. He might have been there for hours or days. No way to tell. He maintained his mental exercises. Count breaths. Recite equations. Remember faces of people he loved. The isolation wanted him to panic, to break. But human psychology evolved for different pressures. Humans were social creatures who could also endure terrible loneliness. They were prey animals who became predators. Contradictions held together by stubborn will. Light returned suddenly. Taiho blinked in the brightness, disoriented. The exit was ahead. He had no idea how he'd navigated to it. Muscle memory, maybe. Or luck. In the observation room, Thesic was updating the psychological profile. Humans evolved as both predator and prey, the scientist explained. Their psychology reflects that. They can be social or solitary, peaceful or violent, logical or emotional. They contain multitudes. How do they not go insane from internal conflict? Velmresh asked. Some do, Jiwoo admitted. Mental health is a constant challenge. But most humans learn to balance their contradictions. It makes us adaptable. Taiho sat down outside Zone 11. 2 zones left. His body was a catalog of injuries and stress. Radiation damage, cellular trauma, fever, exhaustion. He'd been going for 2 days without sleep. You should stop, Jiwoo said. Rest, no one will think less of you. I'm scared to stop, Taiho admitted. If I rest, I might realize how much everything hurts. Momentum is the only thing keeping me going. That's not healthy. Probably not. But it's working. He looked at the door. What's Zone 11? Temporal distortion. Time perception manipulation. The facility generates fields that affect how you experience duration. So seconds feel like hours? Or hours feel like seconds? Or both alternating? It's designed to break down cognitive function. Taiho thought about humanity's long history of persistence hunting, running prey animals to exhaustion over hours or days. Time was just time. You kept going until the goal was reached. I'll manage, he said. Zone 11 twisted his perception immediately. He took a step that felt like it lasted years. Then hours compressed into instants. His mind struggled to process the discontinuity. But human endurance wasn't about time. It was about putting one foot in front of the other, regardless of how long it took. Fast or slow, the method was the same. Keep moving. He focused on immediate goals. Reach that marker, then the next one. Don't think about the end point. Just the next step. His ancestors had tracked prey across continents. They ran marathons not because they were fast, but because they never stopped. The prey would run in bursts, then rest. Humans just kept coming. Inevitable, patient, persistent. Time lost all meaning, but the exit grew closer. Or maybe he was always near it. Didn't matter. He reached it eventually. That was enough. When he emerged, Velmresh was standing there physically. The proctor had left the observation room for the first time in the trial. 11 zones, Velmresh said quietly. In 2 days. This was supposed to take weeks. It was supposed to be nearly impossible. I think it is nearly impossible, Taiho said. He sat down heavily. I'm just too stubborn to notice. Zone 12 is all zones combined, Velmresh said. Every challenge simultaneously. It was designed to have no solution, to be the absolute limit. No one's completed it? 3 beings in galactic history. It took them weeks. They emerged permanently damaged. Tejo looked at the final door. Can I die in there? Yes. Will you stop me if I try? Belmresh hesitated. Do you want me to? Tejo considered the question honestly. He was exhausted, injured, sick. Every system in his body was screaming for rest. The smart thing would be to stop, but humans weren't always smart. They were persistent. And sometimes that was more important. No, he said. I came here to complete this. Might as well try. Why? Velmaresh asked. You have nothing to prove. Earth's worthiness is already established. Not for Earth, Tejo said, for me. I want to know if I can. In the observation room, Park Hyan watched the exchange. That's very human, he said quietly. What is? Jiwoo asked. Attempting the impossible just to see if you can. No practical reason. Just curiosity and stubbornness, Krell's ancient voice spoke. Perhaps that is why they survived their world. Not because they had to. Because they wanted to see if they could. Tejo stood at the entrance to Zone 12. The final test. He checked his supplies. Almost nothing left, water. A few protein bars. His multi-tool. His hands. Same tools humans had used to conquer a death world. Same tools that built civilization from nothing. Same tools that sent them to space before they had any right to be there. Just hands and stubborn refusal to quit. The door opened. Hell waited inside. Tejo smiled slightly and walked in. Zone 12 was everything at once. Heat and cold alternated in waves. Gravity fluctuated wildly. Toxic air burned his lungs. Radiation pulsed through his cells. Pathogens invaded his bloodstream. Darkness and blinding light traded places. Time stretched and compressed. There was no solution. That was the point. You couldn't prepare for everything happening simultaneously. You couldn't strategize when every strategy was invalidated instantly. So Tejo stopped trying to solve it. He just endured it. When heat came, he moved to find shade. When cold came, he moved to generate warmth. When gravity crushed him, he crawled. When gravity vanished, he pushed off walls. When darkness fell, he navigated by touch and memory. No complex plans, just responses. Action and reaction. Problem and solution over and over, never stopping. His body was failing. He knew that. Medical training told him his systems were critical. But critical wasn't dead. Critical meant still functional. Still moving. In the observation room, Jiwoo watched the medical readouts with growing horror. His vitals are all over the place. Heart rate spiking, blood pressure fluctuating, core temperature unstable. Should we intervene? Someone asked. He's still conscious, Jiwoo said. Still moving. His body is compensating somehow. How? Belmresh demanded. This is beyond what biology should tolerate. Human biology, Jiwoo corrected quietly. Earth biology. It's different. Thesek was taking frantic notes. Redundant systems. That's what I'm seeing. When one system fails, another compensates. His cardiovascular system is stressed, so his respiratory system works harder. His immune system is overwhelmed, so his cellular repair mechanisms increase output. Nothing is perfect, but nothing is failing completely. Survival through imperfection, Krell said. Most species evolve toward optimization. Humans evolve toward redundancy. They don't need perfection. They need to survive long enough to reproduce. Hours passed. Tejo lost track of his surroundings. Everything blurred into pain and effort. He couldn't remember why he was here or what he was doing, only that he needed to keep moving. Forward. Always forward. His mind retreated to something primal. The part of his brain that remembered running across savannas. The part that tracked prey for days. The part that refused to stop until the goal was reached. Human persistence wasn't intelligent. It was stubborn. Mindless in its determination. More instinct than thought. He crawled when he couldn't walk. He dragged himself when he couldn't crawl. Inch by painful inch, he moved. In the observation room, silence reigned. The entire galactic community was watching. News networks from across space showed the same image, a human, broken and bleeding, refusing to stop. Why doesn't he quit? Someone whispered. Because he's human, Jiwoo said simply. We don't know how to quit. It's not in our programming. Narek stood at the window watching the screens. The warrior had trained for years, had prepared mentally and physically, had thought himself ready for anything. But this human with his basic tools and engineer's mindset was teaching a lesson Nerix had never learned. Strength wasn't about not falling. It was about standing up every time you fell. Taiho saw light ahead. Maybe real, maybe hallucination. Didn't matter. He crawled toward it. His vision was narrowed to a tunnel. His hearing was muffled. His body was a distant collection of pain signals. But his hands still worked. His legs still moved. That was enough. The light grew brighter. The exit had to be. He reached out, fingers scraping metal. Found an edge, pulled one pull, another. The world was spinning. Or maybe he was spinning. Didn't matter. Just pull. Just move. He crossed the threshold and collapsed. The environmental hell of Zone 12 cut off instantly. Normal air. Normal gravity. Normal temperature. Normal felt alien after what he'd experienced. Medical teams rushed in. Jiwoo was with them, scanning him rapidly. He's alive. Barely, but alive. Get him to medical now. Taiho tried to speak, but only managed a cough. Blood came up. Concerning, probably. But he was conscious. That counted for something. Velmresh stood nearby, mandibles quivering. 12 zones, 2 days. You completed the crucible of ascension faster than anyone in history. Did I pass? Taiho whispered. Pass? Velmresh made a sound like shattered glass. You redefined what passing means. They moved him to medical facilities. For 3 days he drifted in and out of consciousness while his body repaired itself. Radiation damage healed. Infections cleared. Broken systems rebuilt. Human resilience wasn't fast, but it was thorough. Given time and resources, humans recovered from almost anything. When he finally woke properly, Jiwoo was sitting beside his bed. How do you feel? She asked. Like I got hit by a truck, he said. His voice was rough but functional. Several trucks simultaneously. You're a galactic celebrity now. Everyone wants to meet the human who completed the crucible. Great. Can they meet me after I sleep for a week? Jiwoo smiled. Probably not. But I'll try to limit the visitors. Over the next week, Taiho received visitors. Nerix came to offer warriors respect. Thesic came to ask questions about human biology. Velmresh came to apologize for underestimating Earth. Krell visited last. The ancient crystalline being moved slowly into the room. You have taught the galaxy something important, Krell said. What's that? Taiho asked. That survival is not about perfection. It is about persistence. Most coalition species came from worlds that allowed them to optimize, to specialize, to seek perfection. Krell gestured with crystalline limbs. But Earth did not allow such luxury. Your world demanded you survive first, optimize later, so you became generalists. Adaptable. Imperfectly suited to everything but capable of handling anything. We're not special, Taiho said. We're just from Earth. Yes, Krell agreed. And that is exactly what makes you special. Commander Park arrived with news from Earth. The coalition had formally invited humanity to join. Multiple species wanted to establish trade and cultural exchanges. Some military alliances were forming. Your performance changed the political landscape, Park explained. Fear is fading. Respect is growing. They're starting to see humanity as valuable allies rather than potential threats. I just walked through some rooms, Taiho said. You walked through their version of hell and made it look manageable, Park corrected. That sends a message. Humans can handle difficult things. We don't need perfect conditions. We adapt. A month later, Taiho was cleared to return home. The station held a ceremony. Representatives from dozens of species attended. Some gave speeches about courage and determination. Others talked about the new era of galactic cooperation. Taiho listened politely, but mostly thought about getting back to Earth, to normal gravity, to normal air, to home. Before he left, Velmresh approached him privately. A question, the proctor said. When you entered Zone 1 and asked if it was a warm-up, were you serious? Taiho thought back to that moment. The desert heat, the concerned aliens, his genuine confusion, yes, he said honestly. 45 degrees Celsius is a warm summer day where I'm from. I thought maybe the crucible started easy and got progressively harder. I wanted to know what to expect. Velmresh made that shattered glass sound again. A warm summer day. What we consider extreme heat, you consider pleasant weather. Not pleasant, just manageable. There's a difference. To most species, there is no difference. Extreme is extreme. I guess we have different definitions, Taiho said. Earth taught us that extreme is relative. The journey home took 2 weeks. Taiho spent most of it sleeping and recovering. When Earth finally appeared in the viewport, blue and white and green, he felt something in his chest relax. Home. Beautiful, dangerous, impossible home. The landing was smooth. He stepped off the shuttle into Earth's gravity and breathed Earth's air. It felt right, natural, the weight he carried his whole life without knowing it. Media wanted interviews. Scientists wanted to study him. Government officials wanted briefings. Taiho politely declined most of them and went home to his apartment in Seoul. Normal life resumed. Work at the aerospace company, weekend hikes in the mountains, dinner with friends who asked about space but mostly just wanted to catch up on regular life. One evening, he sat on his balcony watching the sunset. Earth's yellow sun painted the sky in colors. Pollution added reds and oranges that wouldn't exist on cleaner worlds. His phone buzzed. Message from Jiwoo. News from the coalition. A rescue operation on a volcanic planet. A team trapped by eruption. Earth had volunteered humans to help. The mission succeeded. Humans worked in heat that should have killed them. Moved through toxic gases with basic filters. Carried injured aliens through conditions rated as extreme. When interviewed, the human team leader had shrugged. We train for this stuff regularly. Standard emergency response procedures. Nothing special. Nothing special. Just humans being human. Just Earth's children doing what Earth taught them. Taiho smiled and set down his phone. The galaxy was starting to understand. Humans weren't conquerors or warriors or super beings. They were survivors. Products of a world that made survival the primary skill. Everything else in the galaxy might be easier than Earth, but Earth made them strong enough to handle anything. The sun set fully. Stars appeared overhead. Somewhere out there, the galaxy was watching, wondering what else humans could do. The answer was simple. Whatever they needed to. Whatever the situation demanded. Not because they were perfect, not because they were special, because they were from Earth. And Earth didn't raise quitters. Taiho went inside, closed the door on the night sky, and went to bed. Tomorrow, he had work. An engine design problem to solve. Regular life continued. The galaxy could handle its own wonder and fear. He had engineering problems to work on. After all, solving impossible problems was just what humans did.